and welcome to my little corner of the Niles Essanay Silent Film Museum's online version of Charlie Chaplin Days. My name is Michael Bonham, and some of us have chosen our favorite Charlie Chaplin films to talk to you about. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Charlie, I'd like to give you a little nutshell history of his early career. He was born in London in 1889, and as a young man joined a vaudeville troupe doing live stage comedy in England and America. At the beginning of 1914, he joined the Keystone Film Studio and did films there for the year. At the end of 1914, he was looking to make more money, so a contract with the Essanay studio was negotiated, which brought him $1,250 a week and a $10,000 signing bonus. Quite a sum for those times. He made his first film for Essanay in their Chicago studio, appropriately called His New Job. And with him in that film was Ben Turpin. Now, Ben Turpin was in his second go-round with Essanay at this time, and he had also been a stage comedian for years with an act he called Happy Hooligan. It was a violent knockabout act, which must have gotten a little too violent at one point because it permanently crossed his eyes, a trait that would bring him a lot of money and fame later in his career. The film was a big success, but Charlie didn't want to stay in Chicago because George Spohr, the Essanay co-owner, and the S of Essanay ran the place more like a factory than a movie studio, including shutting the place down every night at 6 o'clock. And any filming that was happening, well, it would have to wait till the next day. Not good for creativity, Charlie said. So he came out to the Niles Essanay studio, where Bronco Billy Anderson, the Essanay co-owner, and the A of Essanay gave him a lot more freedom to do things the way he wanted. And he brought Ben Turpin out with him. And their first film for Essanay in Niles is the subject of my talk, A Night Out. Now, in this film, Charlie and Ben are partners, just a couple of guys out on the town with a few drinks under their belts, out to have a good time. Now, for sets and locations, Charlie did not have a set script to begin with, so they built a cafe set, and Charlie got the inspiration from that set as to what funny business he was going to do in it. They also built a couple of hotel sets. Now, as for locations, they went up to Oakland and did the two hotel exteriors at the Peralta Apartments on 13th Street and the Sierra Apartments on Alice Street. The entrance to the cafe is still unknown at this point. There was a fourth location that they filmed in front of the Hotel Oakland, but that was not in the film. The only place you can see that, and very briefly, is in one of the Screen Souvenirs episodes. We also know that they did an exterior in front of a bar called Chick's Saloon in the Alcantara building at the corner of Post and Market Streets in San Jose. Now, for more details on these locations and all of Charlie Chaplin's Bay Area film locations, please watch John Bengston's PowerPoint presentation. He is our silent film locations expert, and you will learn a lot from him. Now, as for the cast, right at the beginning of the film, along with Charlie and Ben, you see Leo White. Now, Leo White had been appearing in films for Essanay in Chicago since 1913, and he came out to Niles with Charlie also. He was in films for years, usually small parts, cameos, walk-ons, extra work. Sometimes he'd have a few lines, sometimes he wouldn't have any. He had 476 credits to his name, and the last 7 films that he was in were released after his death in 1948, so he was busy. Now, there were debuts of 2 important Essanay actors in this film. The first was of the beautiful 19-year-old Edna Province. Originally from Lovelock, Nevada, she was working as a waitress in San Francisco, and upon her discovery, Charlie brought her and 2 other women down to Niles to audition them, and Edna was chosen as Charlie's new leading lady. And they made films together for the next 8 years. Their screen chemistry was excellent, and they played off each other so well that it helped make Charlie a much better and more well-rounded comedian. Really helped make him a legend, and he sent her money for the rest of her life. Kept her on his payroll until she passed away in the 50s because he never forgot what she had done for him. Now, the other debut in this film was that of Big Bud Jamison. Now, Bud was a Bay Area native from Vallejo and had been working as a singer in cafes and in vaudeville. Now, Charlie liked having a big bully in his films to push him around, and at 6'2" and 270 pounds, Bud filled that role quite well. In this film, he plays the surly waiter in the beginning, and later in the film, much to Charlie's consternation, also turns out to be Edna's husband. So the film was a big success, a big moneymaker for Essanay, but Charlie didn't want to get tied down to a partner. So at this point, he ended his film association with Ben Turpin, but you don't have to feel sorry for Ben, because he stayed on in Niles and did some of the Snakeville comedies, and later in the teens signed with the Max Sennett studio and became a big major star on his own. So he did all right for himself. Now, Charlie made 4 more films for Essanay in Niles, and his last one was one of his most famous films, The Tramp, the film where he established the character that he would be known as the rest of his career and forever, the Little Tramp. And we're real proud that he did that right there in Niles. So, I hope you enjoyed my little talk, and I hope you enjoy the rest of our online version of Charlie Chaplin Days. Thank you so much for watching.